And we do have the air conditioner running. We are trying that out. I found out that when I turn the air conditioner on low, right, instead of having it full blast, that, see, full blast, for whatever reason, it's warmer. But when I turn it down, the AC, it's a little bit cooler. I got the windows cracked, so you might hear the occasional aircraft or other vehicle in the public parking lot. But I want to get on here and talk about this. I came across somebody else who is putting a different spin on the false narrative that God sends narcissists across our path. No, he doesn't. No. But this person is saying that God puts us in the lives of narcissists. No. God, he puts us places, but he does not put us where he cannot protect us. But God did not put us in the lives of the narcissist, and God did not send narcissists across our path. We're going to talk about this. I'm going to explain to you why. That's not how it worked in the spiritual. That is not how it works in the spiritual realm. So those who are out there, those false prophets out there teaching that lie, is because the devil wants you to believe that God's the one that did that. God's the one that put you through that traumatization. No. God, no, and no. God is not a God of pain and suffering. So of course he ain't going to send the narcissist across our path. He knew we had to become aware. That's all. He knew we had to become aware of it. So yes, in the background you're going to hear the sound of the AC and the car running. And I have my ice water today. Yesterday I did not have ice water. And I believe, y'all, that is what led to us getting a little bit too hot in yesterday's stream. So, I don't know what that is in my water, but I'm going to get it out. I'm going to get it out. All right. In the meantime, let me go ahead and do our check real quick, because I want to make sure everything is going. Get it out. All right. In the meantime. All right, there we go. Making sure that you all can. I'm just also looking at the location and make sure we're in a good spot. And so, as we are, I'm gonna give y'all an update here, just a moment. But I had to get on here and talk about this because I see that narrative every now and again that the devil wants you to think that God does this and God does that. And I'm going to set the record straight. So that's what this one's about. We set the record straight here. Because all these lies out here. See, the devil wants you to think that God's the bad guy. God ain't the bad guy. Remember, God is a spirit. John 4, verse 24, God is a spirit. I know we got a little bit of a late start today. On Sundays, we try to get up here around 2 p.m. Eastern time with the live stream. Let's just chat. And, the devil wants people to believe that God is the bad guy. No. God is not the bad guy. But like I was saying, I didn't have my ice water. I had water with me yesterday, but I didn't have it on ice. And so, as we're detoxing, my body got a little too hot. And so we made sure to take care of that today. I said we're going to stop in and get us a big cup of ice, because I had my thermos with ice and juice in it as I was running errand. And so now I got to wait for my ice tray to freeze some more ice cubes in the room. So we decided to go ahead, run to that convenience store and get us a nice big cup of ice water. Okay, now. That being said, I can monitor the chat on that device for when y'all come on in. I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Let's Just Chat show, streaming on the YouTube channel Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center while combating radio frequencies for healthier living. And as I was talking about earlier, we are going to talk more about why God's not the one that sends narcissists across our path. And we're going to talk, and we know that the devil is a liar. And remember, these narcissists want chosen one to look like the bad guy. Narcissists want us to look like the bad guy. Because they think that by doing that, it's going to take away from people finally seeing their true colors. It don't work that way. That's not how it works. See, that God spirit. God is omnipresent. That's the reason number one. God, he ain't got to do no testing. See, there's a lot of people out here who are led to believe that God is doing this, or that God testing. No! God ain't testing nothing. God's the spirit in you. He already knows. He's the Alpha and the Omega. Why do you think God needs to test? He don't got to test nothing. He's just waiting on us to learn the lessons. God's always waiting on us to come to him. That's right. He's waiting on us to come to him. He's waiting on us to learn the lessons. A lot of lessons that we had to learn. Until finally, we hear the call. Oh, this is a real spiritual battle between good and evil. Chosen ones and narcissists. Chosen ones are empaths. And no, again, I did a video all about this. Empaths are not witches. Don't believe the lie. Being empath only means we are empathic people. That's it. It's just that we can feel spiritual energy. We can sense it. We can put ourselves in other people's shoes. We remember that we've been there once before. We were sometimes darkness, but now we walk as children of light, as we're supposed to. So I'm going to take a quick break from that just a moment to give y'all an update that we discovered during our detoxing and things like that about this, and why the Jezebel case study tightened the choker where she did. I actually finally saw the rest of the indentation. And the best way I can describe it is like when you go to the grocery store, right? And let's say you have that plastic bag around your arm, and when you take it off your arm and you have that little indentation. Okay, that just interrupts your circulation a little bit. Okay, well, that's why she did what she did with the choker. She tightened it just enough to leave a little bit of an indentation that would interfere with the circulation, which would trap a lot of mucus and salt in here. Right. And that's what was causing the ping pong between the heat in here from when she tightened the bra, the heat from the bruising, playing ping pong. And so we're like, okay, we're going to put a stop to that. And we have. We put a stop to that game of ping pong with the internal heat. And no, I'm not going to. We low key, y'all. We moving in silence. God had us get some stuff that helps to facilitate circulation. And for those who don't know, some great things that do help with circulation: chili powder, cayenne pepper. I know you're thinking, yeah, but aren't those heat? It don't take much. A little goes a long way. All right? A little goes a long way. And so, but I finally saw the indentation of the entire choker, because I saw the imprint of the pattern here, and that's what's causing this. And so it's gonna heal. That's not forever. It's temporary. Everything is circulation related and bruise related. So as the bruises heal and circulation gets back to normal, so will everything else. In here and all of that. So we're on top of it. We are very aware. Yes, I'm aware of a little bit of bruising in my gluteal muscle area. Just a little bit. They have all been healing. My knees, my ankles, the calf, the inner thighs. I see all the bruises. I see the patterns. I see the toilet seat pattern. Oh yeah. So we good. We good. We know exactly what she did. So anyway, that being said, all right, I saw another, well, she's a false prophet. I will tell you that. I've known it for years. I had 2 family members who would attend this false prophets, like public speaking events from time to time. The Jezebel that gave birth to me told me about it. And so, being curious about what it is they were listening to preacher-wise, public speaking, supposedly, obviously the spirit of religion talking, and that's what I picked up on with this person. And I said, oh, she's a false prophet. So I've known that for many years, and it came across my feed here on YouTube. There's a thumbnail, and it's talking about how this false prophet is talking about how, reasons why God would put us in the lives of narcissists. I said, no, that's a new spin on that lie, trying to tell people that, tell people that God sends the narcissist across our path. No, he don't. No, he don't. Because like I alluded to earlier, the truth is God is a spirit. He's on the inside of us. So he already sees. He already knows. God is on the inside of us. He already knows. He sees our heart. He knows that we just don't know yet about the evil. He knows that we don't know yet about the narcissist and narcissism and all of that. Okay, so he knows. He's Alpha and Omega. God is the only being who is omnipresent. But there's a lot of people out here who want to believe that God is the bad guy and that God is sending the narcissist across our path or putting us in the lives of narcissists. Why do you think so many people want to believe that? Because they're deceived. They don't truly understand how God works. It does not work that way in the spiritual. God sees all because he's omnipresent. God knows that we just don't know yet. God knows what the devil is doing. God knows the devil is using radio frequency to manipulate the autonomic nervous system. God knows what the Matrix is up to. God knows what the devil's doing before we know what the devil's up to. Remember that. God is the Alpha and the Omega, beginning and the end. He knows the plan he has for us, to prosper us. But he also knows we have lessons to learn. God knows that when we're young and we don't know yet, we don't know anything else yet, we're going through this conditioning inside the matrix, so he knows all of that. God sees all. He also knows our hearts. He also knows that we don't have, chosen ones don't have the spiritual wickedness in high places. In other words, we're not going around out here thinking of things that we can do to try and destroy another living being. We just don't have that in us. Like the narcissists do. They're the ones that try to think about how they're going to get revenge and how they're going to do all this. Chosen ones, we learn that we don't hold a grudge. We naturally forgive. We don't forget, but we naturally forgive and we move on. We move on. We don't live in the past. And God sees that. He just knows that we've got to learn the lesson. God's just waiting on us to learn the lesson. He's not sending these narcissists. How many times in the Bible did God tell us not to seek counsel from the ungodly? But we have to first learn who the ungodly are. God knows this. He tells us to be not partakers with the wicked. Okay. Well, we have to know who the wicked are, right? Okay then. God tells us that all those who are engaging in what we now know are sin, the fornication, the adultery, all of that. He says, from such turn away. God tells us to stay away from the narcissist. But he knows we have to become aware of them first. We have to be able to discern. We have to be able to tell who the evildoers are from who is not an evildoer. So God's not the one sending these narcissists across our path. He knows it's human nature, right? He knows the fleshy side of us. We don't know no better yet. He knows that. He knows we just don't know yet. You know, it's the same concept. I tell y'all, God is always waiting on us to come to him. Well, at the same time, he's waiting on us to learn the lesson. See, this is why I teach y'all a lot. That if you somewhere and God hasn't delivered you from that yet, and you wondering why, well, there's something there that God needs you to learn. For example, where I currently reside, why I'm still there, and he hasn't delivered me yet from where I'm at, is because there's some shady thing in the spiritual, that is. Okay, there's some shady things going on with radio frequency poisoning that he needed me to be aware of. Things that the Matrix is pulling that are very similar to what the ex-psycho roommate was doing while I was sleeping. You better believe it. Oh, all that's going to come to light. I got a lot of it already coming out on our Patreon channel. I need y'all to remember something. The Patreon channel, we take from here and everywhere else on social media, and we make more real-world connection to the spiritual realm. But you got to be ready to accept you've been lied to since birth about almost everything. And I mean everything. So, that includes the lie that God will send a narcissist into our lives or put us in the lives of a narcissist. No. That's not how God works. He just knows we don't know yet. Why many of us ended up dating several narcissists and then even marrying one, because we didn't know yet. We were trauma bonded. See, when you're the devil knows that when you are trauma bonded, you are just so smitten and so just like, it's like you got the world view blinders on. You don't see nothing else but that narcissist. You don't know that's what they are yet. You don't know they're an evildoer. But man, you know, we were so trauma bonded. We also didn't know that we were under a generational curse. We didn't know that we had soul ties to these narcissists. We didn't know that. And then for those of us who had a Jezebel who gave birth to us, we didn't know we had a soul tie with her either. And then for those of you who have a Jezebel father, or dad, okay? Because remember, God is the only Father, our Heavenly Father. But God's not the one sending narcissists into our world. It's just we didn't know what we were dealing with. We didn't know about demonic possession yet. And so, but now, God awakened us, chosen one. We could see their demons. We could see their demons. That look of hate. Yeah, that glaring blank stare that they have. That demon of hate. And it often comes with the demon of jealousy. We can sense that in the spiritual. You can see their demon. They give you that sideways glance with the evil eye. That's the Jezebel. Do not ignore that. Don't ignore that. But see, we didn't know all of that yet. We were just going along with what the Matrix taught us. And yes, for those who are tuning in a little bit later and on the replay, what you're hearing in the background is the car and the air conditioner running. We're trying something out. Okay? Because I found out that when I keep it on the lower setting, it actually does blow some cool air in here. Even with the sun out and stuff. So we're trying something new so that we're not so restricted with places we can come out and go live and create content. I appreciate y'all understanding. I have my ice water. Got to keep the inside of the body cool down. But God did not send no narcissist. No. You got to remember, God blesses us. Narcissists are curses. Alright? You know, I mean, God will rebuke. Okay, here's how God works. Alright, y'all. I understand there can be a little bit of confusion. And God is not the author of confusion. So let me unconfuse anybody who might be a little confused about the fig tree. When it said God cursing things, okay, or Jesus cursing things, like the fig tree, it's not actually cursing like putting a curse or a hex or hoax or whatever on it. No. It's just a matter of God saying that is an unfruitful entity. And because it is unfruitful and it's ungodly, because there are a lot, thank you, Chris Miller, for sharing this spot-on revelation. Take away from that. And there are a lot of entities out here in the matrix that are unfruitful entities. And at some point, when God sees that they are unfruitful and they are ungodly, He's going to step in and make, you could call it a curse, but not. It's basically He's going to step in and He's going to shut it down so that it can no longer be drawing off people and mankind can't be drawing from it because it's not fruitful and it's ungodly. God will step in at some point and do that. That's why you see some of these businesses that just, yeah, they try to grow too fast. They just end up falling. Yeah, keep that in mind. Businesses take time to grow. And so you can't expect a brand new, like this ministry. Let's say I was going to branch out and offer franchises later on. Well, we're not going to do it right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that we are. I'm just giving you all that for perspective. Because you see McDonald's franchises and stuff like that. Okay. Some of those don't make it because they try to branch out too fast. That's the point. But that's how God works. Because God is in control of everything, ultimately, anyway. No matter what, God is the Almighty God. But He's not going to send narcissists across our path. We have to learn how to spot them. We have to learn who's who and what's what. And so we go through the 40 years of wilderness in order to do so. You know, God takes the worldview blinders off when He awakens us to all of this, and He puts the God blinders on so that we can discern spiritually. We can see the demons on them. We can see a lot of things that used to hide in plain sight. And it can't hide no more. We start to pick up on spiritual energy, and you're able to tell, okay, hold on a second. And it gets to a point where even if our biological senses are a little off, once we become aware in the spiritual, we don't have to rely on our intuition all the time because we can see it. That would be another reason why, y'all, if God's revealing things to you, He should be. The devil's going to try to mess with your sight because he's all about head game. So spiritual attacks that are coming after your sight right now, just know that's why. Because the devil knows that once we become aware of the narcissists out here, and they are the demonically possessed who walk amongst us, once we are aware of them, then we don't have to rely on our intuition quite as much. Because there's nothing new under the sun when it comes to these things. Like a Jezebel, when you see one, you've seen them all. But you have to learn there's different flavors. Cheshire cat grin, the evil eye, snake pupil. There's your Jezebel. Top 3 characteristics of the Jezebel right there. And so, if you see the Cheshire cat grin, they got the snake pupils. You don't even have to look for those. That's like a package deal. And you'll get the evil eye from them. And the part that takes a while to sink in is the crept and unaware part, because you do have those who don't know. The human host does not know that they are being demonically possessed, meaning they're demonically controlled. And they don't know that. They don't realize it. But we can detect it now, even quicker. But you got to remember that God did not put us in their lives, and He did not send them across our path. He's waiting on us to learn the lesson. Once we learn a lesson, then He'll awaken us at His appointed time. See, it's all part of God's grand plan for us, chosen one. At His appointed time, God awakens us at His appointed time. Galatians 4 verse 2. And you can never forget that. So while we've got fellow chosen ones still out here in the matrix that have not been awakened yet, just know at God's appointed time they too will be awakened. And I want to pray that they do not fall for that false narrative that God is the one sending evildoers across our paths or us into the evildoer's life, because He's not. God is a God of positivity. He's a God of goodness. He's a righteous God. God knows our hearts. He knows. He can see our works. He tells us in the book of Revelation and throughout, I know thy works. I know thy labor. I mean, that's pretty clear. So if God knows all of that, then why would He be the one that needs to test us on anything? They're like, God, I've heard this too, that God is just testing your faith. And I'm like, no, He's not. God's in there. He already sees my faith. He knows it's growing. Just like with y'all, chosen one, God's in you. He sees it. He already knows. He knows thy works. He knows thy faith. He already knows. Before we do, God knows us better than we know us. Because He made us. Why would God need to test us for anything? He's just waiting on us to learn lessons that are being thrown at us that actually are the test from the devil. Think about that for a moment. Why is it that narcissists feel the need to test us to see if we've got boundaries, right? Oh yeah, that's one big one right there. They want to see if we got boundaries. If the narcissists who do the testing, narcissists will test to see how aware we are. Narcissists will test to see how easily manipulated we are. Narcissists will test to see if we've got boundaries. Narcissists will test to see if we are aware. So we know that narcissists tell us what the devil's up to through their behaviors. The narcissists tell us who the devil is through their behaviors. They are toddlers in adult bodies, which tells us that the devil is also a toddler in the spiritual. He's just a little toddler, scared little toddler. So the narcissists are the ones doing the testing, which tells us that the devil is the one that does the testing. Because the devil is not omnipresent. That's the reason why the devil is the one that had to send narcissists across our path to gather data. Right? It's a data gathering assignment for narcissists to come across our path. Because the devil don't know. The devil can't read our mind. No. That's why I have videos on this channel about be mindful, be careful when you're speaking. Because the devil, he can't read your mind. And until you can properly discern who's who before you speak, be careful when speaking. Because God's very clear about that too. Only a fool uttereth all his mind. So we learn this, chosen one. See, that's another lesson that God's waiting on us to learn. We learn how to stay low key. We move in silence. We learn how to spot these narcissists a lot quicker. And they nosy as all get out. But watch out for them busybodies. They be nosy as all get out. Want to be all up in your beeswax. For no reason other than the fact that they're just trying to gather data about you to take back to their master, the devil. Because the devil is not omnipresent. So he's the one that's got to do the data gathering. God ain't got to do that. God created us. He knew already because he planned for it all. Not for the bad stuff to happen, no, but he knew it was going to. Because of our human side. Our fleshy side. Don't know no better. Our fleshy side is weak. But our spiritual side is strong. That right there is really the number one reason why it is not God sending narcissists across our paths. He ain't got to do that. That's the devil doing it. And God knows that the devil's doing that. God knows what the devil's up to. God knows the devil gonna do it. That's why God gives us clear instruction in his principles throughout the Bible. Be not partakers with them. From such turn away. Do not seek counsel from the ungodly. But first and foremost, he knows we have to become aware of who those are. We have to become aware of the evildoers before we can, be not partakers with them. Go no contact. That's right. God is the author of no contact. I mean, it's pretty clear. Because whether you realize it or not, even in the book of Proverbs, okay, in 24, verse 1, says, be not thou envious against evil men, neither desire to be with them. But we have to know who they are first. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. God ain't sending these evil people across our path. He says, be not thou envious against evil men, neither desire to be with them. So why would God be sending? See, that makes me wonder about these false prophets that love to spread that false narrative, that lie, that God sends these narcissists across our path, or that God sends the narcissist to us or puts us in their life. No. God doesn't put us in situations. Not like that. No. That's not how it works in the spiritual. They want you to believe that God will put you in certain situations. What? To test you? No. He already knows you're going to end up in that situation. So he's like, okay, well, there's a lesson here. I'm just going to sit back and wait for them to learn the lesson. Because God already knew you were going to end up there. He already knew that. Yeah. For example, when I married the angry narcissist, when I married him, God knew that was going to happen. And God said, well, just wait for her to learn the lesson. Same thing for y'all. He's just waiting for us to learn the lesson. But he knew that was going to happen. See, a lot of people are like, how come God let that happen? We're the ones who let it happen, not God. Let that sink in. Moot in our own eyes. God protects us wherever we are because he's in us. So it's not that God didn't let none of that happen. Our fleshy desires let that happen. Our naivete let that happen. The human side let that happen because we didn't know any better yet. But see, that's the thing. It's so easy to engage in that blame shifting because the devil wants everybody to think that God is the bad guy. God didn't let none of that happen. No, some people be like, wait, so how come God let that Jezebel physically assault you? God didn't let that happen. He knew it was going to happen. He knew that I needed confirmation in the physical, what I was sensing in the spiritual, because I wasn't familiar with that flavor of Jezebel yet. So God knew all that was going to happen, but he also knew I was going to learn a lot of lessons. And I'm still learning, by the way. And I also remember him when I came to in the hospital bed. He already had my escape route planned. Oh, yeah. It was beautiful. God had it all planned out. Boom, boom, boom. And it went smooth as butter. Get me out of there. Because he knew I saw the snake pupil. Boom, there. That's all I needed. Amongst some other things with her behaviors and stuff out there in public. But, yeah. God knew that was going to happen. He didn't allow for it to. I did. Because I went there. Was I expecting that to happen? No. Not at all. But she would never have gotten away with doing that without having to spike my drink because she's a coward. If she tried that while I was awake, I would have kicked her straight across the room and gotten out of there. And it would have never happened. You see? But it did. And there's a lot of silver lining in that I'm bringing to y'all. The awareness factor of our ANS. And, ooh, it's fascinating. But it's not God that allowed these things to happen to us. It's us. I know a lot of people ain't going to like that truth. But God's not the one that allowed anything considered bad to happen to us. We do it to ourselves. This is why we got to get the knowledge and understanding. God says, seek that knowledge. Seek knowledge and understanding. That wisdom. Now, so that we don't continue to let those things happen. In other words, when I got out of there, I said, oh, we were not going to give that Jezebel a second chance to try and do nothing like that again. The level of awareness. Because I heard him say when I came to in that hospital bed, he said, this is the last time. All right, book that hotel room. There's your storage unit. Here's what you're going to do. And he led my step to go rent that van. Go down there one day, boom, get the rest of my totes, which wasn't that much, but, and just get out of there. Get away from her. So we did. I had to become aware. This is why God's not the one that sends these narcissists across our path. It's the devil that does. But God tells us to not desire to be with them again. Proverbs 24 verse 1. That's just one of many places he tells us not to associate with these evildoers. So he's not the one sending them across our path. The devil is. Then it becomes up to us to remember and not allow ourselves to be deceived over and over again. Once we learn of the deception, once we learn who the evildoers are, it's up to us to remember. It's up to us to hold ourselves accountable. God's not the one letting bad things happen. We are. The human side. Again, because our flesh is weak. So we got to focus on the spiritual, because that's where your strength is. Chosen one, your strength is in the spiritual. It ain't in the physical. And I ain't talking, listen. Okay? I'm not talking about the fact that, yes, okay, you can pick up a 24-pack of water. That's not what I'm talking about. Wisdom. The spiritual strength. The strength through Christ. Right? We can do all through Christ who strengthens us. That's a spiritual strength. That strength is much stronger. I did a whole live on this. Spiritual strength is stronger than physical strength. It truly is. Spiritual strength is stronger than physical strength. But God ain't sending these evildoers across our path. No. That's the devil that's doing it. The devil's the one that sends the evildoers across our path. Because it's oftentimes when associating with the evildoer that bad things tend to happen, huh? See? That's not God doing it. That's us before we knew better. Because we didn't know about the trauma bond. We didn't know that they were a narcissist. We didn't know about the game of narcissism yet. Now we're learning. We're learning about it so that we don't keep being deceived over and over again by these narcissists who the devil is sending across our path. Then it becomes our responsibility to go no contact where possible. Stay away from them where possible. Now, I understand if you're in the workforce and you're in that field, you're going to have some narcissists that may be customers. It is what it is. But be not partakers with them, meaning that's business, that's it. Get your groceries and get out. Don't hang out with them. You know what I'm saying? I've identified some Jezebel cashiers here and there, and so what? They check out my grocery, exchange, just the normal pleasantries or whatever. Have a nice day, thank you, that kind of thing. Bye. But do not desire to be with them. That's what that means. Do not desire to be with them. But God's not the one sending the narcissist into our life. He's not putting us in theirs. It's just we didn't know until we knew. And you got to remember the generational curses, chosen one. We also didn't know about that. I mentioned that early on. And then the soul ties. There's things that we just did not know about yet. Now we know. For those of you who don't, now you do. But do not, and I repeat, do not fall for the false narratives. And I know I saw that false narrative about the narcissist being sent by God. Those false narratives get thousands upon thousands of views. And I said, wow. That's got to be a bunch of narcissists believing that, because of the simple fact that narcissists are the ones who love to blame shift, right? They want to blame God for all the bad that goes on in their life. They don't want to take responsibility for themselves, like I've been teaching and preaching here for the last 10, 15 minutes. That bad stuff, those situations that we found ourselves in, oftentimes with the narcissist, right? That we found ourselves in, not so good. We did it to ourselves. Got to hold ourselves accountable. Recognize the mood in our own eye. But see, a lot of people won't do that. The narcissists don't do that. Chosen ones will do that. They're like, yeah, I did it to myself. Because of my naivete, I didn't know. God knows that. This is why we ask God's forgiveness. But the narcissist will never, ever, 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 ever take responsibility for the fact that they put themselves where they put themselves in that situation in the first place. They need somebody to blame, and who better to blame than God? Because the devil keeps trying to paint God as the bad guy. So he's going to go out there and keep telling y'all, yeah, the devil's going to have his false prophets spreading that lie, because he wants people to believe that God is the bad guy. When God's not the bad guy. God is not the one sending them narcissists in our lives. No. And the things that happen to us that were not so great, due to our own naivete, our own unawareness. So yeah, I know I said it earlier for those who missed it, that physical assault. It's like, did God allow that to happen? No, I did. Because I went there. Not because I was expecting it or because I wanted it to happen. God knew it was going to happen. But I played a little bit of a role. I take responsibility for that because I didn't have to go there. But I wanted confirmation of what I was sensing in the spiritual. I wanted the confirmation. So yeah, that's on me, part of it. The fact that she did what she did, that's on her. But I recognize the role I played. That's why ain't no pity party up in here. Because we were learning a lot of lessons from all of that. And the biggest one is, okay, don't give a narcissist. Once you recognize that they are what they are, and they pull some kind of shenanigan, don't give them a second chance. That's why God says, do not desire to be with them. You got to remember that. Well, now, listen. The warning, God was giving me warnings through the virtual session. I was sensing things in the spiritual that, those were God's warning. But he knew me. He knew my thinking. He knew my analytical side. Because I was like, I need confirmation. God knew that. That's why he had the escape route all planned out that next morning. He did send me some warning. But he also knew, okay, her human side. All right. But he kept my subconscious mind aware of the whole thing and took notes on my behalf so that when we did the forensic analysis on my own body, we know exactly what happened. And then later on, revealing the patterns, bruise patterns and things like that to tell a story. So he made sure that I would know everything. Remember how God says he's going to reveal all. Not just in the spiritual what have you, but if something like that happens to us, he's going to tell us what happened. He sure did. And he continued to do so if I need anything else. So he did. So yeah, I'm going to defend God in that way because I played the human role. We got to always remember that we are not perfect. We are sinners. Our flesh is weak. And that fleshy side, the human side of me wanting confirmation, well, that was a little bit of my weakness. But the good news is I got the confirmation and then I can bring y'all all this good stuff. No, of course, the narcissist, the narcissist will never, ever, ever, ever admit that they've done anything to anyone else. No, they will not admit fault, especially not for putting a date rape drug in someone's drink. They're not going to tell you that. No, they're not going to tell you that. No. But really, the biggest takeaway, y'all, is that, and it wasn't God that sent that Jezebel across my path. I know that. It was the devil that did. It was the devil that did that. So I want y'all to remember that. God's not the one sending evildoers across your path. That's the devil doing it. But there's a lot of people out here that want to believe that it's God because they want to blame God. And so if you hear anyone or take note of anyone who is blame shifting, blaming God for the bad going on in their life, you're dealing with a narcissist because chosen ones, we learned that, God's not the bad guy. We're the ones that put ourselves in those situations. We're the ones that fell for it. We didn't know yet, and God knew that. But y'all got to remember that. But we're not going to let the devil trick us into thinking that God's the bad guy. But you know how it is, the spiritual battle for the mind. That's right. God sends protective, caring people, not narcs. Thank you. We got to be able to tell the difference, though, right? It's all about developing that discernment. It's all about developing that discernment. And y'all got to be mindful of that. That discernment. That's what it's all about. But we got to be awakened in order to have that develop. And properly, too. Never forget that. Well, yeah, 1 Peter 5 verse 8 is a really great one that illustrates the devil sending narcissists across our path, right? God telling us to be vigilant, stay sober and vigilant, because our adversary, the devil, like a roaring lion, is always roaming about, seeking whom he can devour. And he does it through the narcissist. Because the devil is not omnipresent. So we had to send the narcissist to seek whom he can devour. That's right. So I am going to end it on that note right there. I know that some of y'all working. I don't want y'all to get in trouble now. All right. If you are working, I get it. You work from home. So yeah, okay. But I still don't want y'all getting in trouble either. But I know that you come in a little bit later. You'll catch this on the replay. And I know you will drop your insight in the comments below. And I just want y'all to stay vigilant, stay aware, don't fall. Oh, okay. So you'll rewind the time. Okay, so you finished working. All right, good. I feel better about that. I don't want y'all getting in trouble. Okay? No. Chosen ones, that's the thing. We have that kind of empathy for one another. We don't want y'all getting in trouble. Okay? And you're very welcome. You're very welcome. See, we're watching out for one another. You know, God watches out for us, so we got to watch out for one another. That's how we do it right there. Okay. Okay. You finished? Okay. That would be 2:30 my time. All right. Well, there you go. Okay. But I know you'll catch this, all right? But I need y'all, and put it in the comments, okay? Put it in the comment below. The devil sends narcissists. We need to make sure people understand that that is the truth and not to believe the lie that God does, because God's not the one doing that. All right, everybody, sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your continued support. Till next time, show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father, and you keep being you. In Jesus' name, amen.